Tonight on Joy News Prime, government revises fuel price increase, which took effect at the pumps Tuesday, slashing the 17 pesos increase to 9 pesos. It comes on the back of complaints from the public that the increase in fuel prices are unbearable.
It
also comes on the back of a planned demonstration this Sunday, May 9, by the Fix the Country group.
This is the protest to save the soul of the nation, and there's a point where enough becomes enough. I think we are seeing that point. And this is why we are here for what we are planning to do on Sunday.
We'd ask if the gesture by government will make them change their mind about the protest. We'd also get a reaction from the police to the planned demonstration. In business, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, has its mind made up. It says it will go ahead with an upward adjustment in transport fares despite the 8 pesos reduction.
Even if the rollout tomorrow's meeting ends out that we should adjust the margin that we want, we will not be able to go up to the 20% that you are mentioning.
Also in the bulletin, an attack by a 15-member armed gang at a cattle ranch at ADEISO in the Eastern region results in one death and another with a slashed throat hanging on to life. And the Ghana Journalists Association wants a dialogue with the police on how to curb attacks on the media and asks why none of the perpetrators of the Ahmed Swale murder are yet to be apprehended. My name is Israel. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fan of our studios at Kokumlimli here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. There's been a marginal reduction in the fuel prices barely a day after they took effect at the pumps. The initial increase in fuel prices of 17 pesos reflected at the pumps triggering outrage on social media under the Fix the Country hashtag. A group mobilized under the hashtag has indicated an intention to protest the fuel price increase and other difficulties in the country this Sunday, May 9. Out there at the lorry terminals, the commercial drivers are also lamenting how the fuel price increase is hurting their business.
I think the price is too high. I don't know if it's because of the taxes or what. I think the government can do something about it. Honestly, something needs to be done. And once fuel price goes up, it affects everything.
For me, actually we sell online, okay? And once we sell online, the fuel price goes up. It makes some of these clients have difficulty to order the stuff that they do. So imagine a client is buying something 65 cedis and have to pay a delivery of 40 cedis. How would they come back and buy again if the delivery is so exorbitant?
So far the fuel prices have gone up. We know that obviously it's going to affect a lot of things. And it's obviously, if it affects a lot of things, okay, negatively, we know the hardship that it will be on the workers if workers' salaries have not been increased. In fact, yes, you put 2 petrol gun so you want some fast.
To be frank, auntie, for any dear, a year high to the extent that we are Juma, yes, we are year Juma for 20. Some, but yeah, because we are Juma hand to mouth. So, Intanka, slow by an uncle, share. Boy, I also just obey baby my yes, way then. Yahu, I told you a crap because you see a gun of 4.
Well, I'm so much too much. Yes, we scan Nick room and say, yes, I might want to you to the abundance of Kakaka, Jumano. Full amount of so much Tismaka, Crasina Bay, Sylvania Cadazio Botum, Nedibia Maya, Remoni and Bound, Monsieur Question Marshall School, their Costco anymore.
Well, the increase has since been slashed by 8 pesos on the litre, so that consumers will no longer have to pay an increase of 17 pesos, but 9 pesos on the litre, as an increase on the litre. It follows a meeting between the Energy Minister, the National Petroleum Authority, and the various players in the sector. The statement reads, at a meeting held at the Ministry of Energy earlier today between the Honorable Minister of Energy and the National Petroleum Authority, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited BOST, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers COPEC, the Institute of Energy Policies and Research, it has been agreed as follows. The 17 pesos per litre increase in fuel margins previously announced by the NPA has been reduced to 9 pesos per litre, effective tomorrow, Wednesday, May 5, 2021. And you can see the signatories at that meeting. We'll be getting a reaction from the consumers to the marginal reduction in a bit, and we have also taken note of your comments on social media, and we'll be reading a few shortly. But let's get to understand why the initial increase has been slashed. Rodney Nkrumah-Boateng is Head of Communications at the Ministry of Energy. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Nkrumah-Boateng.
Yes. First of all, let me acknowledge the fact that the fuel increases have caused quite some considerable disquiet in various sections of the society. Nobody enjoys paying more for their fuel, or indeed for any other commodity. The 17 pesos margin was put out by NPA separately from the other levies and taxes that went through the budget and went to Parliament. That is ring-fenced. That's something that Parliament has approved of already. Now, this discussion that Minister had today followed concerns, obviously to ensure that you're sensitive to what people are saying, that you're listening to what is being put out there. And the minister felt it was important to have a second look at it all. I mean, of course, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and perhaps one could say that, oh, well, you could have done this much earlier and prevented all that. But, I'm sure that even the 9 pesos, because the NPA margin is not the only thing on, the increase. There were other factors as well. So even though the NPA margin has been cut down, it's still, I'm sure, would have caused some considerable disquiet, because the net effect of that would be that there would have been some increase. And so that discussion was had today. The various players came around the table. Discussions were had on the margins, and space was found to be able to accommodate some reductions so as to bring some relief. And it came down by close to 50% from 17 pesos on the litre to 9 pesos per litre. So that's where we are today. And that takes effect from tomorrow, as the statement said.
All right, so you essentially took the wind out of my sail and answered the question before I actually asked the question. But clearly, this is coming at a time that there are many people in the country who are saying that the economy, they're going through really tough times. And so as far as they're concerned, this price increase shouldn't have come on at all, and that government should probably consider scrapping it entirely. What's your reaction to that?
I think we need to acknowledge that the situation is not just a Ghanaian situation, it's a global situation. We are not even out of the woods from COVID yet, and we all know what COVID has done to ravage economies across the globe. Countries in the EU are in recession. Government has had to foot a huge bill and keep a lot of public services going throughout the pandemic. I mean, I used to work at the Ministry of Education at the time, and all public sector employees, all public sector teachers and employees were kept on payroll even whilst the pandemic raged. I mean, road taxes came down because people stayed at home. So government was losing revenue and still disbursing money to keep the system going. And we are where we are as government doesn't have a bottomless pit, and we have to find ways of raising revenue. And so it is difficult. I acknowledge that. We're all living through it. We all go to the same markets. We all buy the same fuel from the same pumps. We all spend in the same system. And so, I mean, it's the least that one can do at the very least is to sympathize and accept that we are going through a bad patch, but these measures are necessary in order to keep the economy going. Somehow we have to raise the funds from somewhere.
All right, you talk about the economy reeling from the effect of COVID and all of that, and the country is going through a bad patch. But it isn't the country alone that's going through the bad patch. The citizens are also going through a really bad patch. So between the government or the states and the people, who should bear the brunt? It appears, well, the government can bear, or rather than put the burden on the citizens, we are better off not burdening them any further.
I agree that the citizens, and I think I've made that point quite emphatically, that we're all reeling from, we're going through this patch. But the bottom line remains that, as I said earlier, government over the past year has kept certain expenditure going, even in the face of a downturn in revenue. And so it is not right to say government hasn't shouldered any burdens at all. I mean, the public sector, all public sector employees have been kept on the pay, on the wage bill, and the money has to come from somewhere. A lot of things have gone through with our exports, a whole lot of things, and so I don't know whether to call it cost sharing, but you have to strike a balance somewhere with government having to take a hit, and the citizens, we trying to a little adjustment. Uncomfortable as it is. I remember Kwesi Boje's days of tightening the belt. I mean, it can be quite suffocating to tighten the belt, but we are all in this together. And I think the important thing is the prudent use of taxpayers' money to ensure that we're all getting better value for our food.
Now, does this have to do with the protest on social media and the planned May 9 protest by the Fix the Country group?
Let's first of all take account, and I've noticed my brother Oliver here. We've had a few exchanges on social media. I owe him 10 pesos, which I'll be sending to him very soon. And he understands what the 10 pesos is about. But, I mean, the demonstration that is being planned covers a number of areas. Are we saying that on every single issue, government is going to rush into taking this decision or that decision to stave it off? The right to protest is in a free society, is an expression of our democratic credentials. Whether or not you believe there's culture of silence, that's another conversation. But I don't see why necessarily a demonstration would mean government having to run around like a headless chicken just because there's a demonstration coming up. The important thing is that you have a listening government, you have the benefit of hindsight, of course, that we all have, but you're able to sit down with the relevant players and say, okay, guys, where can we tweak 1 peso here and 2 peso here, 2 pesos here, to make life a little bit bearable? 8 pesos might not seem much, but in the scheme of things, it adds up. And I think it is important that we take cognizance of that.
All right, so I'd want you to hold on for me. We've been getting some reactions to the gesture by government from the streets and the commercial drivers.
For me, let's assume that it was increased by, let's say, 20 cedis or 10 cedis, and you just reduced it by only 8 pesos. It's on the low side, because if, let's say, it's 10 cedis and you want to reduce it for everybody to be satisfied, maybe we might not get 50% of that 10 cedis, but say between 10% to let's say 30% will be acceptable. But from the way of from the look of things, the 8 pesos is not up to maybe even 2% or 5% of the amount, which I think the stakeholders should have a second look at it and do something about it, because this country is for all of us.
It's not enough, okay? I bought fuel today, but then it's still at the same price as at, but I'm still hoping it will increase, simply because the fueling station haven't gotten new stocks. So as at the fuel I got today, it's still the same old price. But then the reduction to the 80 pesos, it's not enough. Yes, something has to be done about it.
What I can say is that before the pandemic, it was 25 cedis per gallon. Yeah, so it reduced because of the pandemic. It reduced to 16 cedis per gallon. So as for me, I didn't see any much increment on it because now is let's say 28 cedis. You understand? So it seems like things are recovering. So things are also going up again. You understand? So from the pandemic, let's say 1 year now. So what I can say is now, okay, let's say 3 cedis increase. That's how I see it. So I think things are going up. So there's no way things will come down.
I think maybe probably they should, if there will be an increment, it should be bit by bit, but not this 8%, 12% increment. I think the 12% is too much for us. So if the government can do something about it, with the 12%, it's too much. So it will create problem with in the system. I think that's what I can say.
The rate reduction there, I think, is not good, and I think the government can do better than this because compare how the fare and everything is going, and the reduction there, I think it's not good at all. It's not good at all, and I think they can do better than this. They can do better than this.
So you had some reactions to the reduction or the gesture by government. We've been joined by Oliver Mause Baka Vomawo, convener of the Fix the Country movement. Now, there are a number of things we're looking at in this conversation, Mr. Vomawo. There's the fuel price increase, which is just one of the several reasons for the May 9 protest. So we'll hear from the conveners of the protest, represented here by Mr. Baka Vomawo. Now, what do you make of the gesture from government, and is it enough to get you to call off the May 9 protest?
Well, thank you for having me in this conversation. I feel like I'm losing my voice for having been on so many media engagements and talking to so many people who've been very interested in this movement. I mean, the movement has been spontaneous. I mean, I've been up since as early as 5 a.m. Thinking strategy and talking to people. So I'm very encouraged by the massive response and the feedback. You've talked about the government's response and the gesture. Honestly, I do not know to whom the gesture is directed at. We've not had any outreach from the government that this is in response to the Fix the Country movement. And if they're trying to fix the country through this movement, I say bravo on them. They're participating in a democratic conversation that needs to happen. For me, I think that one thing needs to be understood. This movement or this protest is much more than an amenity school. It gets to a point where enough becomes enough. And this is what this is about. You know, a couple of minutes before I came on to this, my father, Bernard Bakavomo, or Gaskia as his friends call him, sent me a text message where he asked me, we have had so many protests in the past, and how can this protest break the camel's back, he said. And the question sort of caught me unexpectedly. I mean, I was surprised by it. And it made me pause and interrogate myself as to why we are doing this and what it will take for the status quo or the sort of governance that holds democracy hostage as we have it. What will it take to break that camel's back? Now, for me, it takes a lot more than a single magical moment to break the camel's back. It takes more than 6 pesos in any event. For me, I think that our charge as citizens, if we choose to accept it, is to keep adding the load. And I assure you, in my lifetime and in many lifetimes even before me, I have never seen an unjust system endure. So any system that is structurally unsound, that entrenches economic inequality and poverty, and denies people their rightful place, I would say, as stakeholders in how we improve our public values, cannot endure. So, as I understand it, the moral arc of the university bends towards justice. And we as Ghanaians must ask ourselves, is our system just? Does it give everyone their just due? Does it reward honesty and truth? And for how long will the corrupt continue to win at the expense of the decent citizen? These are the questions at the heart of this process. And for me, it's a step towards how we take our power back and our voice back as citizens.
All right.
You know?
So clearly, this is not just about fuel price increases. It's about a whole lot more. How far do you intend to take this And is it just the May 9 protest and that's it, or what else do you intend to do after May 9?
The conversations that we are having started off online. They started spontaneously without anybody provoking it. You know, it almost reminds me of the Arab Spring in a sense. If we were allowed to be on the streets as they were, because it caught fire within the space, and we have over 500,000 people who are tweeting and sharing this all over Facebook. So that spontaneity that it has engulfed us shows us that there's so many people willing to have this conversation and continue to engage the process. Like I said, we have acknowledged in our democracy that the process of governing and be governed is a continuing conversation with and between the citizens and their elected officials. So that process must go on. And May 9th is about gaining street level legitimacy for an online movement. And I think that conversation will continue to happen.
Hold on for me. I also have Rodney Nkrumah Boateng, who has been speaking to the issue of the reduction in the initial increase in fuel prices. Now, Mr. Nkrumah Boateng, so you've heard Baka Vomowo. Well, as far as the gesture is concerned, he says that it doesn't really count for much. Now, do you intend to do anything else, or do you think that government could do anything else, at least from the energy ministry perspective, to help the situation?
Strikes very important issues that go beyond fuel prices or amenities and talks about the very governance structure and the fairness and the just society that it seeks to, that we are trying to build. And I've read a lot of his writing on Facebook. We've engaged on several occasions. And by and large, I share the wider sentiment with him that this country needs to get better. We need to create a better society, a more equal society. I mean, with him on all fours. I mean, I don't think anybody, and if you listen to the people in your clip earlier, nobody's suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that the reduction in the margin is the all-be-all. Of course not. I mean, 8 pesos in the liter, if you look at it globally, probably isn't much. And people have expressed that sentiment, and I understand that position. It doesn't mean that it is not a start. It doesn't mean that we cannot have a conversation. It doesn't mean that we cannot look at things. Of course, I'm not in a position to make any promises. You know, I don't have that sort of authority. But the important thing is for government to listen. The important thing is for government to engage. The important thing is for government to find common ground. And I believe that is what we are doing. And I think that it is an important conversation that needs to go. And behind the scenes, my brother and I will continue to engage and we'll talk about our 10 business. All right. But that's another story.
All right. Thank you very much, Rodney Nkrumah Boateng, who is the head of communications at the Energy Ministry. But I still have on the line Mr. Baka Vomowo. Now, tell us more about the protest. I know you have written to the police. Have you gotten a response from them yet?
Yes, we have gotten a response. And I think my colleague, Effiatenge, is here to speak a bit to that.
All right.
As far as we understand the nature, if you do want me to proceed before she intervenes, I'm happy to. But I kind of don't want to take out the words from myself since she's speaking the official police response. I can respond after she's done.
All right. So let's get to Effiatenge, who is on the line. DSP Effiatenge is on Zoom. She's a public relations officer at the Greater Accra Region Police, rather. Thank you very much, DSP Tenge, for making time to speak with us. So you've received the communication or the notice from the Fix the Country group or the movement. What's the police official reaction to that or response to that?
All right, Israel, before we had the official notification, we had even chanced on some information on social media of this protest.
All right.
And so this afternoon, we received a formal notification from this group. And so once the convener happened to be around, the regional commander took advantage of that and met him together with our officer in charge of legal. And our response was very simple. And that had to do with the imposition of restrictions on large public gatherings. And so we advise them that they can hold their demonstration. The police is not against that. But for now, this is not a time to do so because of the imposition on restrictions, especially on public gatherings, and in particular demonstrations. We know the police's stance since these restrictions were enforced. And we notified them, or we responded to their letter through writing that we may not be able to provide the necessary security for them to embark on this demonstration. They can, however, do so later when the restrictions have been lifted.
All right, so let me get the reaction of Mr. Bakavomo. So as it is, the police is saying that you can go ahead with your demonstration after the restrictions have been lifted. Essentially, COVID does not permit the kind of protests you're thinking, you're considering or planning.
I have continued to characterize this as a democratic conversation. And the essence of the conversation for me is whether or not as a society we believe that constitutional rights cannot at all be exercised within a public health emergency. This is the substance of what we are saying. We have seen examples where the government has proceeded and held public gatherings and public events, one of them being the right to vote. Now, if we have exercised the right to elect them as officials, we should be able to exercise the right to demand them that they account. We think that the government has shown us that it is possible for public gatherings to be held, especially outdoors, without significant spread of infections. And I've said consistently, we've had chief spokespersons for the government make that point consistently. Now, I don't want to get into that because we have public health officials of ICS, and I also believe that the government is doing that as well. And I think that the middle ground somewhere is understanding that this is it's a science adjacent response that we need to have. Because we both and the police are also invested in the process that citizens get to enjoy their rights within a democracy. And if that we need to bring experts into play to ask them and also to design a way in which constitutional rights can be exercised in respect of public health measures, that is what we're doing. Now, I want to say, and I want to be clear on one point. In our letter to the police, we laid out in clear detail public health measures that we are going to do and how we are going to, even including how people come to the grounds where we are assembling.
All right.
And the police response to us, and again, I do not want to suggest that DSP is not representing accurately the content of the letter they've given to us. They said to us that they cannot grant our request to hold a parade. And for us, as far as we understand, we notified the police. We did not request. We did not submit a request to them. And as the law requires us to do, again, within the framework of the Public Order Act, we will continue to engage the police within the bounds of that act. And as that process unfolds, we hope that whatever response it is upholds our constitution.
What middle ground are you looking at?
Well, the middle ground, as we understand it, is the police recognizing that they acted outside of their limited powers under the law.
All
and
right.
that is an important concession to make for constitutionalism to thrive.
All right. Let's get a reaction from DSP Tenge. So it appears the group wants to go ahead with this demonstration, despite you're suggesting that there's COVID. Well, there's COVID and the restrictions that come with COVID, but they're saying that they still want to go ahead to do that, and they believe they should be able to do that.
All right, let me make this clarity or correction here. The police does not grant permit for demonstrators to go on a demonstration. Per the Public Act, it requires of any group of persons who want to embark on a demonstration to notify us. And the same Public Order Act states out the modalities within which both groups can negotiate on their request. And so we have written to them in writing. If they do not agree with us, they go ahead by telling us what their response is.
All right.
And based on that, the police will take the next line of action or a decision. And we also want to say that in the same Public Order Act, it says that if the police has reasonable grounds to believe that if such a public order event is organized, it has the tendency to endanger public life, public health, the running of essential services, the police can advise them to either postpone or change or amend. It creates a number of conditions within which the police can fall to advise the demonstrating organizers. And if they fail to heed to the advice of the police, then it also tells the police what to do.
All right.
That is when we seek legal prohibition.
All right.
And if the court thinks that, yes, the reasons that the police are giving are enough to go by, then the police goes in a way or otherwise.
In other words, you're saying that you're prepared to go to court to stop this?
I think this is not the first time. Since the imposition of restrictions, the police have gone to court on a number of demonstrations in the past. And our stance has been very strong on that. And so for us, we would do our advice. We want to state it emphatically that we are not against the demonstration. It is their civil right to do so. It is their right.
All right.
But in much as we need to also ensure that people's lives in this sense are also protected by way of public health, we will also do what is needful by advising them. If not, we will go to the court, in whose prediction, if the court believes that, yes, they reason with the police and so they would permit all the reliefs we are asking for, fair enough.
All right.
But if the court thinks otherwise and would want to rule also in their favor, fair enough.
All right.
But for now, this is the advice the police has given to the group. We are not against their demonstration. They can go ahead with their demonstration, but the timing is wrong.
All right.
And we are requesting that they can hold for now and come back on a later date for us to prepare on how to embark on this demonstration.
All right, thank you very much. DSP Efiating is the Public Relations Officer of the Accra Region Police. And I've also been speaking with Mr. Baka Vomawo of the Fix the Country Movement. Also, Honorable Rodney Nkrumah Boateng also joined us from the Ministry of Energy. Thank you very much to you all for making time to speak with us. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead. An attack by a 15-member armed gang at a cattle ranch at ADEISO in the Eastern region results in one death and another with a slashed throat hanging on to life. And then in business, which comes up right after this, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union has its mind made up. It says it will go ahead with the upward adjustment in transport fares despite the 8 peso reduction.
Hello there, welcome to business. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPLTU, has hinted that it will go ahead with an increase in transport fares regardless of the 8 pesos reduction in litre per fuel. Thus, the government has reduced fuel prices by 8 pesos per litre, and this was contained in a communique issued by the National Petroleum Authority. Earlier today, we reported that some major oil marketing companies have started adjusting prices at the pumps. But speaking earlier on the marketplace, the General Secretary of the GPLTU, Godfred Albulbury, says that the union will hold a meeting tomorrow on the planned increase expected latest by the 7th of May. That is this Thursday.
What we are saying is that the factors that we had considered earlier before the recent another fuel hike, we are saying that we will revert back to the meeting tomorrow with the Transport Ministry and then to decide as to the margin of increment that we are going to spend on our fares. We will do all these ones. What will actually be the best of business for our members? And I am saying this for the fact that even if the rollout tomorrow's meeting ends out that we should adjust the margin that we want, we will not be able to go up to the 20-30% that you are mentioning. Our limits might be 10 or 15. See, we are looking at a very possible margin that our customers, which is the final end consumer of any type of loan fare, will be comfortable. And then that will put us in business. If we just decide to increase by 40%, and we know that that will affect our passenger turnout, to our various terminals. We will not do that.
Well,
so the tomorrow's meeting, yes, will come out with a margin. I don't expect anything between more than 10-15%. That's, going beyond that, we will not go beyond that. Because of that, we have gone to do this stakeholder consultation, and tomorrow morning, it's GPSU and then GRCC will be holding a joint meeting tomorrow early morning before we proceed to the meeting with the Transport Ministry. And why is because we think we should not be speaking from different voices. And then the margin at the tail end is just to benefit all the transport members of the transport industry. So we will hold a joint meeting tomorrow early morning before we proceed to the meeting with the ministry around 11 o'clock. So we'll be doing what will please our members.
Businesses will from today be required to start implementing the new taxes on levies announced in the 2021 budget. Now, this is due to the enforcement of the new taxes by the Ghana Revenue Authority. George Rafi has more.
The decision to delay the enforcement was due to the fact that some businesses were pleading for more time to adjust their systems, as well as others who wanted more education for their officers that will be implementing these taxes. Based on the approval by Parliament, compliance should have commenced from May 1. The Ghana Revenue Authority, however, accepted these proposals after their own initial investigations showed that some firms were indeed having some challenges with these taxes. Joy Business is also learning that the authority may grant up to a week's grace period, after which it will not hesitate to freeze accounts and possible locking up of firms that fail to comply. However, there are some who are raising concerns about whether the Ghana Revenue Authority has a legal mandate to vary the implementation and the enforcement date for these levies once Parliament passes the necessary taxes. So based on these reviews, prices of some goods and services are set to go up in the coming days. This is expected to impact negatively on the cost of living as well as protection for businesses. Government is hoping to raise some 5 billion Ghana cedis from these tax measures announced in the 2021 budget to finance some infrastructure projects and control the deficit.
And that'll be all for business. I'm Charles Aite. Sport is up next.
You're watching Joy News Prime Time to bring you the sports. My name is Hans Mensah Ando, and with 12 matches to end the 2020-2021 Ghana Premier League, Great Olympics appear to be losing control of the league title. The Wonder Club occupied the summit at the end of the first round with their supporters believing this could be their year. Now, they have since lost that position as the league continues in the second round.
The Wonder Club have lost their place at the summit of the league table to Midiama SC and Asante Kotoko, and currently occupy the third position on the league log. Skipper of the team, Glatton Awako, have called on their supporters to be cautious of their optimism that this is the season Olympics will be champions of the Ghana Premier League.
I've heard several football loving fans, they do. I hear them say this a lot, most of your colleagues as well. And our fans, yes, they love it, they want to win it. We want to win it too. So, but at the moment, I don't think we're going to put pressure on us by saying we want to do this, we want to do that, because the points in between is very small. It's not that big. So you see how the league is going. You win today, you are at the top. You lose, you are coming down. So we can't come out now and say that we want to win the league. So we'll take it game after game. When we get there and we see we have the chance to, we'll do that.
The Wonder Club had a great start to life in the first round of the Premier League season. In the second round, their performance, however, have been zigzag. Awako believes winning the league this season is going to be extremely tough for him and his teammates.
It's not going to be easy because there are injuries, there are suspension and all that. So we need to make sure we have equal, when maybe player A is out, we should have a replacement for that player. But when he comes in, he's going to do exact work that the other guy is doing, and we need to be disciplined as well, and make sure we do the simplest thing, the easiest thing that we've been doing. We should keep it up. We shouldn't be swallowing a debt. With that, I don't think it's going to help us.
Olympics is 2 points behind league leaders Midiama FC, and they will be facing West African Football Academy on March 23 of the Premier League.
And that's it for this installment. We'll bring you more later in the bulletin.
Right, it's time for Showbiz, and Becky Bex is here. Hello, Becky Bex.
Hello to you. How are you doing?
I'm well. I missed you over the long weekend.
Oh, thank you. I missed you too. You could have called me or something. I cooked this weekend, but that's not why we're here. Let's talk about the Musica virtual concert that was held in memory of the late President J.J. Rawlings. Kofi Kinata performed. Lots of them.
Well, and a lot of stars were on this.
Yeah, so if you missed it, we have the highlights for you here.
Mileni Manyone Kajeje Agbe, Mileni Manyone Rawlings Agbe, Mileni Manyone Kajari Agbe. Ao, Warriors. No let me go. Wana feno Kenya kawo tonaka. Uma se kajeke binyemaya. Samale kajeke binyemaya. Roya shikwebepa. Muwaza, muwaswa subitasa, muwana subutuma kasu. And you are going bobo, Africa Tisana, Manokeke, on the Samba. Capuchia, Semicosundrum, Film Fiesta, Macoswakoshe, 4 years, Tammy Yamid of Free, boys, fashion of frame, got it in with facing out of baby.
Not respond. We are denied even a nod. For those who did, and for those who did not understand you, you are ancestor to all.
Thank you, Musica, for organizing this program to honor my late husband, Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings, former head of state of the Republic of Ghana, and the first president of the Fourth Republic.
Glory, honor, power belongs to you.
Well, I echo to Musica
and
to all the musicians who showed up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Becky, for bringing us Showbiz. But on My Joy Online, let's get to see some of the stories that are trending there. So, Fix the Country, we can't guarantee that protesters will adhere to COVID-19 protocols. That's the police. Transport fares expected to go up by between 10 to 15% this Thursday. That's GPR2. And the Ghana Medical Association wants police AG to prosecute Pneumatica night organizers. And agitated citizens to embark on the Fix the Country protest on May 9th. Well, the police would have its say on that. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in. "15 heavily armed men have stormed a cattle ranch at ADEISO in the eastern region and made away with 20 cattle in 3 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter cargo vans. They had to exact violence on workers there, slashing the throat of one and shooting dead another worker. It's the scene of horror as police begin investigations into the incident. Let's get more on this from Eastern Region correspondent Kofi Sian, who's following this for us. Now, Kofi, what more do we know about this attack?
A ranch told me that they had closed from work and they had been feeding this cattle all day long. And when they closed from work, these robbers or armed men stormed the area and started attacking them. In fact, they spoke about the fact that their wives and children were tied to a rope, whilst the robbers also attacked them and took their personal belongings away.
Now, is it this attack, is it just a random attack, or these things happen quite often in that area?
Oh, it's a random attack. People say that they've not witnessed this before. That is the workers saying that, and they say that they were shocked and surprised at the turn of events. So they couldn't believe what was happening that very day.
How many workers were at this ranch when the robbers attacked?
Okay, in all, the workers are 10 plus their family members. So in estimation, there could be about 15 to 18 of these workers.
Now, you say that one person had his throat slashed. How is that person doing?
The person who had his throat slashed, I'm told, is at the police hospital in Accra, and he's responding to treatment according to the district police commander, ASP Bafo Ewa.
And what is the police saying so far about the, pursuit of the robbers?
Well, the police says they've launched investigations into the matter, and they believe that very soon they're going to bring the perpetrators of the attack to book.
All right, thank you very much, Kofi Sian. Apparently, we have, let's hear from the police.
So we had a report on Monday around 5:30 a.m. that there were attacks on some farm known as Adum Farms at this town, down so near ADEISO in the Upper West Achim district. So we proceeded to the scene, and we had further reports that around 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, a group of about 15 armed men attacked the farm.
Well, elsewhere, work on the 35-kilometer Wulugu-Pasengpe road in the northeast region has come to a halt after armed robbers attacked workers of the construction company at their camp in Du near Walawali. 4 masked men armed with AK-47 rifles were said to have attacked the Chinese company City Ghana Construction on Wednesday and made away with about 30,000 Ghana cedis that was being kept at the camp to pay salaries. The attack also left 1 person injured and some items damaged. Joy News visited the camp and confirmed the workers have since laid down their tools and all heavy-duty equipment withdrawn from site. Correspondent Elias Tanko reports.
This is a camp of the City Ghana Construction Company where the robbery incident occurred last Wednesday. The chief security will not permit me to film from inside the fence. And right beside the main gate is this structure, serving as the workers' canteen and being managed by this young woman who gave her name as Sekina Danjima. It is here the 4 armed men who arrived on 2 motorbikes started the robbery operation. Sekina has been injured on her right shoulder after she was hit with a rifle as she attempted to resist the armed men who had asked her to hand over all her belongings.
I am the
cook here, and on that day, the robbers woke me up from my sleep and asked me to go inside and bring the money. I told them there is no money here. One of them then slapped me, and I chose tone at him. He slapped me again, and I responded saying, there he tried to move his gun, but I quickly held the rope of the gun and we struggled for several minutes to a point where I nearly disarmed him. Then one of them hit me with a gun.
It is still unclear how the armed men managed to gain access into the fence camp after the long confrontation with the cook right in front of the gate. The chief security of the company, Osiam Peter, who declined to be videotaped, narrated his encounter with the robbers.
We were 4 of them, 2 remained outside, who entered the place. They get and I met them that I met you. They said, they are coming for the money.
Wow.
What money? They said, the money. I said, is somebody who owe you here? If somebody will talk to me, I'm the chief security, so let's talk. If somebody is owing you this company, then let me call that person and we'll sort it out. So they said, no, They were pushing me. I was also going down this, so I was also insisting that they will not go. So when you get to know that, no, I'm not giving them the chance to go. The one where I smoke, remove era for AK-45, AK-47, and point it on me. That should move. I said to where? So they marched me to the office. When we entered the office, they rushed to the accountant, the white man. Said, bring all the money. Bring all the money. Bring all the money. Bring all the money.
The Wulugu-Kasingpe Road, currently under construction, is an important route linking the West Mamprose municipality to the Mamprugu-Mwaduri district and further to the Upper West region. Contractors have been working round the clock since work on the road began late last year, racing against time to avoid being caught up in delays as the rains are about to set in. The construction of this road is also part of measures by the municipal authorities to enhance security and open up access to certain vital public services such as healthcare and education in the overseas communities. However, since the attack at the camp, workers have abandoned the site and are yet to return. The attack was reported to the police in Walewale. DSP Cosmos Awe is the Walewale Divisional Police Commander.
But we were told that there are 4, 2 each on a motorbike with 2 AK-47, who came to the premises of the company, escorted the chief security into the company office, and went straight to the cashier. Asked him where the money is. He should hand over the money to them straight away. Then they were firing indiscriminately throughout the company. And I was told they were able to make away with 300,000 cedis, which was meant for workers. That day in question was supposed to be their payday. There was no casualty. And now investigations is underway.
Elias Sutanko reporting.
Right, we have to get back to the Eastern region right now because there's some other story coming in. At least 19 persons who claim to be national security operatives have been apprehended by the police in the region for illegally mining gold in the Etua Forest Reserve. The suspects, according to joint news sources, invaded the reserve in Achim Akateng with arms on the dawn of Tuesday under the guise of clamping down on illegal miners. The suspects, who were on board a Toyota Land Cruiser V8, reportedly clashed with angry residents and forest guards who had vowed to resist the illegal miners. The angry residents reportedly deflated the tires of 5 V8 vehicles they used for the operation. Even though the police has remained tight-lipped, joining sources confirm the suspects have since been transferred to the Eastern Region Police Headquarters at Koforidua for investigations. And correspondent Kofi Sian has joined us with a bit more on this. Now, Kofi, the Eastern region, it's turning out to be quite interesting today. Now, what more have you been able to pick up from the police as far as this incident is concerned and the suspects we're taking in?
Well, Israel, even though the police have been tight-lipped, I have personally visited the regional headquarters in Koforidua, and I could find out that some 19 people have been arrested, and they were at the police station helping the police to conduct investigations into the matter. So if you ask me, I can tell you on authority that these persons arrested by the residents as well as the forest guards are in the custody of the police in Koforidua.
And you're saying that it's evident that these people were armed, and yet the residents managed to arrest them. How did they do that?
Well, the residents were able to outnumber them. Even though the guys were armed, the forest officers were also armed equally. And so when they stormed the place, they saw the numbers of the residents, and they realized that they could outnumber them. That is why they were able to arrest these guys.
All right, thank you very much, Kofi Sian, for bringing us that update from the Eastern region, and we will be following the story. to bring you updates as and when they are available. We're staying with crime or insecurity. Criminal activities have been on the rise at Kochi in the Trima-Kwawoma district of the Ashanti region. Residents say they come under armed attacks, especially in the evenings. The Community Watchdog Committee has devised strategies to task criminals in the town, including the compilation of names of all landlords. A tenant or resident should be able to identify his or her landlord and specific location for escort. There is more in the following report.
The assembly member of the area, Augustina Obin Ajiman, says the spate in criminal activities has necessitated the collation of a database of landlords.
The one at the news side, it was a gunshot. It was a fully robbery case. So up to now, the landlord there is nowhere to be found because he's saying that he's afraid to be here because of lack of security that we are facing. And I also got some reports at old side. That one, the woman wasn't around. When she came from work, all her household was robbed by armed robbers. So I sat down and then thought of bringing something to the community.
The community watchdog goes through the necessary procedures with the Ghana Police Service to provide security in the community. A member of the volunteer group says their work will complement the effort by the police.
Every 2 weeks, incident because of a criminal case, I know some get to Accra. Almost 10 cases. The young witness, I think, and 10 no. But the young one, the energy is a dozen. The nearest form say, a quite be also a better volunteer.
The CEO of HEPA Plus Mixture supported the team with reflective jacket, t-shirt, cash and boxes of HEPA Plus mixture to boost their immune system. Dr. Ebenezer Ajiman says the fight against crime should be a shared responsibility.
We think general well-being is a holistic term, more of a true definition of health. Security issues is also part of health. Having your peace of mind is also part of health. So we supporting the volunteers to be able to patrol, to help combat crime was kind of an opportunity for the term general well-being as FDA gave to HEPA Plus to be justified and manifested in the community. So we supported them with reflective words and some cash and also HEPA Plus mixture to help their well-being to kind of stand in a very good and active position.
The assembly member pleaded with authorities to mount security cameras in the town to ward off crime.
We urge the government of this country or this nation and the assembly to get at some of the CCTV cameras because all the robbers or the gangs at different areas in which they've gotten some, they've all run into our area to practice the bad things that they will be practicing at their area.
Meanwhile, the chief of Kochi has pledged his support for the police and watchdog team to fight crime.
If you misbehave, you will be arrested, community arrest, and then you'll be taken to the police station. So it still remains, unless you couldn't identify you or there's no proof. Other than that, no favor for anybody.
Reporting for Joy News, Kofi Asare.
A little over 2 years after investigator Ahmed Hussein Swale was killed by gunmen, no one has been charged, prosecuted or convicted for the offense. Mr. Swale, who worked closely with investigative journalist Anas Aremio Anas, was killed months after they had worked on a documentary on football corruption. Today on Total Recall, we put the spotlight on this unresolved murder.
Public on Tuesday viewed the much-anticipated number 12, Anas Aremio Anas's latest investigation.
In June 2018, investigative journalist Anas Aremio Anas released his number 12 documentary. He filmed then GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi engaged in influence peddling.
When you get the contracts, big contracts, we can go back and give them more money. Then we take over the whole country.
Ahmed Hussein Swale, described as a colleague of Anas, is said to have been instrumental in this project. Shortly after its release, Anas and his colleague became victims of series of verbal attacks spearheaded by Saint Central MP Kennedy Japan. On the evening of January 16, 2019, Ahmed Swale was shot dead by unidentified gunmen riding motorbikes.
He shot him first gunshot before Ahmed moved the car, and then the second one. So Ahmed was rushing, so he used the car to enter that kiosk, that saloon over there. So he used the car to enter, and then the man went there again and gave him the last shot. So make it three gunshots. He followed him into the shot and gave him 3 gunshots. Ahmed was inside the car. So as he received that 2 gunshots, the car moved by force and then entered the shop over there. So the car spoiled the glass and everything over there.
He was laid to rest shortly after. There were loud calls for the perpetrators to be brought to book.
It is within the bounds of capacity of the Ghana police and the law and order community as a whole to fish out the perpetrators and bring them to book. They have a track record of dealing with such matters.
The calls received presidential backing.
I am deeply regretful that despite the best efforts of the police, the perpetrators of the murder of Ahmed Swale are still at large. But I assure you, this dossier will not be closed until they are brought to justice.
Then Director General of Police Public Affairs, ACP David Eklu, gave this update.
Found that the 15,000 CD bounty has been placed on any information that would aid in arresting the suspects. Eyewitnesses have been interviewed, and as I speak now, 6 suspects have been arrested, questioned, and are currently on bail. In addition to that, 3 other persons that we believe may have information related to that matter have been questioned and have been given statement forms to give that statement to the police. They include the MP for Asin Central, Honorable Kennedy Japan, Mr. Kwesi Nyentechi, and Anas Aremeo Anas. They have all been given statement forms to give statements and return them to the police.
Fast forward to May 2021. No one has been charged for the murder.
There has been quite a number of unresolved murder cases. Key among them is the longer-standing Ahmed Swale matter. And indeed, there's a need for a resolution for that crime.
Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame demanded answers from the Ghana Police Service.
And indeed, there's a need for a resolution for that crime, because the resolution will actually even indicate the motive for the commission of the crime. Now it has become, it's gained currency that the person was killed on account of the work that he was doing. That may necessarily not be the case. The person could have been murdered not really on account of his work. It could have been as a result of many other concerns or motives. But it can only be ascertained through a resolution of that crime.
IGP James Opombuenu gave this response.
On the Ahmed Swale case, some progress has been made in terms of actions on the part of police. It may not be prudent to put that out in the public domain. We've taken certain steps.
Well, the Ghana Journalists Association is requesting a roundtable conversation with the top hierarchy of the Ghana Police Service to find ways to prevent attacks on media practitioners. 2 years after journalist Ahmed Swale was murdered, the culprits are yet to be found, while many more journalists have been subjected to various forms of attack. Speaking at a ceremony to mark International World Press Freedom Day, Vice President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Linda Asanteje, says the GJA needs more information on how investigations into the gruesome murder is going.
So we're happy when the Minister of Justice, through the courtesy call that he paid to the leadership of the Ghana Police Service, urging them to speed up with the investigations and making sure that at least the perpetrators of these media attacks are brought to book. But then we are also requesting for a roundtable meeting with the leadership of the national, with the security agencies, as to how best we can prevent media attacks. Some of them can be prevented, so how best can we work together to prevent media attacks? Is it that they do not understand the work of the media, or they do, but then it's deliberate? These are some of the things that we have to engage the leadership of the security agencies and then find a lasting solution to it.
Right. Speaking about attacks, there's one specific issue. Ahmed Swale, it's been a number of years now, like he's mentioned, the Attorney General had been speaking to the police, but not so much has come out of it. Is the GJ getting any update, or what exactly are you doing about that?
Yes, that is what I said, that in fact the president of this nation today granted an interview to CNN, and he did mention the issue of Ahmed Swale came up as to how far they've gone with it, because that is what is also affecting our ranking. Seriously, that is what is affecting our ranking. And the president affirmed government's support and willingness to ensure that the security agencies, whoever is in charge of the investigations, speed up and then make sure that the perpetrators are brought to book. And in fact, for the Attorney General, he was just sworn into office. It is too early for us to, start attacking him. But then, whilst we wait for our president, that is the president of GJA, to come from Namibia, we'll be calling on him to find out how far, because once you ask the police to speed up, at least we also expect that some follow-ups will be made, to ensure that really what the request that he made to them is being followed.
But Minister for Information Kojo Nkrumah says government is very concerned about the slow pace of investigations into the killing.
In recent years, we dropped from number 1 to number 2 in Africa. It's mostly been because of reports or allegations that some journalists have been attacked or intimidated. There needs to be a proper mechanism for A, validating, and B, following up on these investigations to ensure that persons responsible are sanctioned and are held accountable for their actions. Very concerned, and that's why we continue to chase up on the ministry responsible for the interior, and they do it through the police. But we need some more attention on that kind of investigation. We need to pile some more pressure on them to get to the bottom of it. Let's also admit that all over the world, sometimes they have what they call cold cases. It takes a while before they get to the bottom of it. But it's precisely because of incidents like this. That is why we've put together this coordinated mechanism, so that we can have some coordinated follow-up action and attention on some of these incidents.
In the last few days, there have been concerns about culture of silence. People have said that there's a culture of silence in the system and that media men are not free to be able to criticize government.
Yet to find any television or radio station that will honestly say that they can no longer empanel people because the journalists are not able to report. You guys are here. You report freely any day on anything you want to report. You invite people who disagree with government to express their views on a regular basis. Journalists publish their opinions. Nobody is arrested or jailed or attacked for expressing their opinions. What I've heard is that some persons are not happy that when they put out their view, other people have counter opinions, and they rather than go on the attack that, oh, these persons who are expressing their opinions are saying so because they are on government payroll. Or you express your opinion, there's nothing wrong with it. When somebody disagrees with you, that person must be disagreeing because he's on a government payroll. I don't think so. I think that we should give each other that mutual respect when it comes to expressing our opinions. Take the recent case of a very high-profile person who made public comments about the culture of silence. And then a lecturer of a university disagreed with him. And then he proceeded to report to the university that that lecturer should be sanctioned. That is an attempt to create a culture of silence. I think that we have a very open and free environment in this country.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the National Media Commission, Yawudu Ayepwafo, thinks the media must be responsible in the conduct of their responsibilities, even as they demand more freedoms.
To the safety of journalists, I think that we have a primary responsibility to protect the media environment and to ensure that the media remain as relevant as it is. But the relevance of the media is not only when they are free, it is when they are free and responsible. Because, as has been noted, anybody who exercises freedom without responsibility renders that freedom a nullity. Whereas you cannot expect responsibility from anybody who is not free. Because when we are not free, we do not take responsibility for the actions that we do, either because we are compelled to do that or we do not understand why we are doing it. And so it is important for Ghanaian media, Ghanaian journalists, and all those interested in the well-being of the Ghanaian media, that if the media wants to remain significant and relevant to the history of this country, and that when a time comes for the history of democracy to be written, the media are not going to be appendages, but the media are going to stand on their own. That it means that we must do what we ought to do.
After a long walk, stopping to catch your breath and rejuvenate is critical, which is why at many bus stops in Accra, shelters have been built for this purpose and for people waiting to catch buses. At the weekend, metal works company Roofing and Steel Ghana Limited added another shelter for pedestrians at Achimota. There's more in the following report.
Roofing and Steel Ghana Limited is one of the fast-growing steel products manufacturing companies in Ghana. The human resource manager of Roofing and Steel Ghana Limited, Bernard Avutiri, said the bus stop shelter put up in front of the Achimota Retail Center was part of the company's corporate social responsibility.
Donation of this is to serve society. This is for the society, people who are traveling, the commuters, during times of rain. Okay, they can, have shelter over here. And more importantly, we also practicing social distancing in support of COVID-19. That is a real thing. This is to make it clear that whilst people wait for their transportation, they could also practice social distancing to curb the spread of the disease.
The general manager in charge of sales, Payesh Tiagi, said the shelter was put up with steel manufactured by the company in Ghana.
Competition, we have the competition, but if you are giving the quality, okay, so then there is no quality. You have to be maintaining your quality, okay, and we are the one who are promised for the quality and deliver the quality, okay. So where there is a quality product, there is no competition, okay.
The company plans to build more shelters in the city of Accra. David Kwesi Maunya is marketing manager.
This is the first project we are opening up to the public. From here, we will do another project at Circle. We want to encourage social distancing, and so we are constructing the shelters at the bus stops, which are often congested with people. We would also construct 2 shelters at Kumasi.
Already, the provision of the shelter has excited some drivers and passengers.
The shelters have really helped us. When we get tired, we can sit comfortably, and when it rains, we can stand beneath the shelter. It's very good.
Sometimes we can better idea waiting for.
Sometimes when I buy something here, waiting for a car becomes a problem because there's no shade. This will really help commuters who stand here while waiting for buses.
Get a free shade and able to be an easy access for them.
Fine. This is fine. When it rains, the passengers will get somewhere to stand. This will help us all.
The steel manufacturing company also presented safety materials to the Artisans Association of Ghana to support their work.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but we have more business coming up. Stay tuned in.
It's now time for business. The Institute of Internal Auditors says it is committed to sharing insights that will provoke positive change and innovation within organizations. According to the chairman of the Research and Publications at the Institute, Mr. Ebenezer Mari Mirakum, the Institute also seeks to improve the effectiveness of risk management, internal control, and government processes. He made these comments when the Institute launched the month of May as an Internal Audit Awareness Month. There is more in this report.
Engaging the media after the launch, President of the Institute of Internal Auditors Ghana, Daniel Kwampa, stated that the Awareness Month seeks to sensitize the general public about the work of auditors and other myths associated with the profession.
The importance of having this Awareness Month, as we've already mentioned, is that most people do not understand what internal auditors do. So the importance of this awareness month is to come out with what internal auditors do as part of their work on a daily basis to help organizations achieve their goals. So we are asking everybody to get on board to really understand what we do so that they can support us, especially the business community, our corporate leaders, who will appreciate what we do and adequately resource us and then appropriately place internal audits so that they can deliver on their mandate.
Chairman of Research and Publications at the Institute, Ebenezer Omari Mreku, on his part, says the Institute is committed to sharing insights that will provoke positive change and innovation within the organizations.
As members of the IIA, we associate ourselves with the mission of internal audit, which states to enhance and protect organizations' value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice and insight to the board of organization and senior management. The internal audit function therefore adds value, but in its base to add value, it is driven by changing stakeholder expectations and influencing the organization views of risk management. This actually is prompting a shift in the role and the activities performed by internal audit in many organizations. The shift is aimed at meeting the expectation of the various stakeholder groups.
Some activities have been lined up throughout the Awareness Month, including a free webinar for internal auditors on quality assurance. Nicholas Brown's report for Joy Business.
Now, the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization says it is championing a digital skills program through the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications to provide 14,000 Ghanaians with digital job-ready skills to women entrepreneurs to reduce the youth unemployment rate in the country. Deputy Director General of Operations at the National Communications Authority, Prince Sefa, says that made this known when he delivered a speech on behalf of the Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Esla Osu-Ekufo, at the launch of the Digital Design and Creative Coding Hub in Accra. Here's more.
The Institute of ICT Professionals has launched the Digital Design and Creative Coding Hub to integrate creative coding into the existing workflow. Speaking at the launch, Executive Director of the Institute of ICT Professionals, David Gold, says the platform is creating employment opportunities for young graduates.
We have identified that cost and equipment is a hindrance to young people learning technology. So we set up a hub, and we want to make it absolutely free for young people to come in. We have people, especially young graduates, who are computer scientists or information technology professionals, and through this program we are able to employ them and get them to become instructors. Instructors in this case, they are not teaching, but they're helping kids to come up with ideas using the tools and the digital devices that we have, like the 3D printer. So we also want to use this as a means of employment for our young graduates. We want to extend this program to, let's think about one district, one hub.
Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Esla Osu-Ekufo, Deputy Director General of Operations at the National Communications Authority, says the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications is championing a digital skills program that will provide 14,000 Ghanaians with digital job-ready skills to women entrepreneurs.
It is noteworthy that the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications, GIFEC, an agency of the ministry, is leading the implementation of a digital skills program that will provide about 14,000 citizens with job-ready digital skills, in particular women entrepreneurs, pupils, teachers, and other marginalized groups through 200 centers set up across the country. Private sector initiatives such as the Digital Design and Creative Coding Hub being set up by the Institute, as the Institute of ICT Professionals, Ghana, and its German partners, Coded, Tinker Toys, and others, add and expand critical capacity in the ecosystem. That is what young people, especially girls, need to ignite interest in technology and pursue a career, very important careers in ICT-related fields.
Nicholas Brown's report for Joy Business.
Let's now bring you a summary of all international business news. And that'll be all for business. Sports is up next.
Time to bring you the second installment of sports. My name is Hans Mensah Ando, and we bring you updates from the UEFA Champions League. There was some 87 minutes of the action done, and Paris Saint-Germain down by 2-0 against Manchester City. Riyad Mahrez with both goals for them. We've got just about some 3 minutes of normal time to do it. It appears we'll be seeing Manchester City in the final of the season's UEFA Champions League. More on that a bit later, 10:30 p.m. on Fun Zone. But for now, former Black Stars midfielder Lai Kingston has called on football administrators to equip juvenile coaches well enough to handle young footballers.
One thing you should know, as I was saying, one thing you should know that you need to be able to understand yourself as a coach, that coaches are there to develop or train elite players to become elite footballers. What do they need? You want to train them to be perfect. You want to guide them to be, develop them in emotionally. They should be very ready. Physically, they should be very ready, and then also technically, they should be very, very ready. So all these three parts is very, very important for you, the coach, to understand all these things, and then making sure you encourage young players to be able to do or develop very, very well. In as much as emotionally you should be ready. You don't have to go there and then make him feel bad. If you allow him to feel bad, then you won't bring the best out of him. You won't even get the best out of him. He'll be scared to even go there and then show you what he gets. All you need is to focus on how to develop him, how he can improve. So educating coaches to be able to coach juvenile players is very, very important. For me, I think the country should also focus more on coaches, youth development coaches. They need to educate them well so that when they are given the opportunity to deal with kids, or train children, they will be able to know the right things, right approach and everything. So I think it's very important that this discussion is on. People say, oh, let's bring juvenile football, let's bring juvenile football back. But we need to bring it back and then make sure put proper structures down, educate people that they are going to take care of the kids, and then making sure passing on a positive messages to the kids.
Let's talk about sports infrastructure, and in a bid to construct state-of-the-art artificial pitches in every constituency in the country, Wembley Sports Construction is set to complete 4 new projects in the Greater Accra region by the close of this year. There is more in the following report.
Ghana abounds in football talent, but developing footballers at the grassroots level has become a big challenge. It is almost impossible to develop raw football talent if football pitches are not up to standard. There are about 12,000 grassless pitches in the country, and Wembley Sports Construction Company is eager to change the narrative. The AstroTurf experts have constructed over 50 facilities across the country. Work is currently ongoing at Alajo, Tema New Town, Tema Mexico Park and ADEISO. The Alajo facility is nearing completion. Ibrahim Nitaboy Tete, Asafa Chair of Alajo, tells Joy Sports the community will form a committee to maintain the facility when completed.
The one problem is how to manage the park also is a problem. So we have to form a committee. We have to form a committee to take very good care of the park, because if we don't have a very good people to take care of the park, if anything happens to the park, we can't do it, or we can't. See, the maintenance is the problem. So I think we'll find a solution with the committee to make sure the park, will maintain the park.
The Tema New Town project is 85% complete. Former MP for Tema East, Titus Glover, who spearheaded the project, revealed why the facility has basketball and tennis courts.
Yes, soccer in Tema East, and for that matter, Tema Maya here, is a heartbeat. But we cannot rely solely on football. That is why I told Coleman, when they came to my office, to show me the design as to how he wanted to go. We wanted to have these two disciplines attached to it, i.e. the basketball court and the lawn tennis court, so that we can also start tapping talent in that area as well. So that was the reasons that went into it, to make sure that we have these two disciplines attached to the soccer.
The Tema Mexico Park project is progressing steadily. The ground is being prepared for the AstroTurf to be laid in the next couple of weeks. But same cannot be said of the ADEISO project, which is almost ready for use. The Alajo project is funded by the Coastal Development Authority. The Tema New Town project and Mexico projects are being funded by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, respectively, while the ADEISO project is funded by Ghana Gas. Chief Executive Officer of Wembley Sports, Robert Coleman, has appealed to other corporate institutions to come on board.
It is high time that corporate bodies come together and then support this particular concept that we are running, the one constituency, one AstroTurf. I am extremely excited and humbled that something that we started some 6 years ago is resonating with MPs, is resonating with corporate bodies and then other companies. All that we want to say is that it is a good project, it has come to stay, and therefore corporate bodies should come together so that we'll be able to replicate what we have done here in other communities.
Former captain of the Black Stars, Stephen Appiah, is a brand ambassador for Wembley Sports.
I'm very, very happy. I quite remember when Wembley constructed Kotobabi Park. We thought it was a joke, but today we are here seeing more AstroTurfs being constructed. So as a former footballer or as a former player, and being the ambassador for Wembley, I'm really happy to see what is happening.
There's a correlation between the quality of a country's sports facilities and the quality of athletes it produces. In few years to come, Ghana will be grateful to Wembley Sports for the one constituency, one AstroTurf agenda.
And the final whistle has just gone at the Etihad. Manchester City have prevailed 2-0 against Paris Saint-Germain. They head into the final of the season's UEFA Champions League. More on that later at 10:30 p.m. For now, though, check out myjoyonline.com/sports. I am Hans Mensando.
But that'll be it for the bulletin. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.